Welcome to Two of a Kind Sports, the show where passion meets the game. I'm your co host, Denise.
And I'm your co-host D Nice.
Today, we will be diving into week 10 with a full recap of the Washington Commanders hosting the Detroit Lions in their special Salute to Service game. You don't want to miss this breakdown. But before we jump into that, please do us a quick favor. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to smash the bell icon and select all. That way you'll never miss when we go live or we drop new content.
That is correct, Denise. Welcome to another week, Denise. It was another miserable Sunday. But, however, we all, as Commander fans, has always been very optimistic of the season. Now we really know what the fate of our season is, which is nothing. But before we go into that, we're gonna go into week one. We're gonna go into quarter one with the Washington Commanders. Now, the Detroit Lions did win the toss, okay, but they deferred the ball, so they gave the ball to the Commanders. The Commanders got the ball in the first quarter. Going into the first quarter, the Commanders basically 3 and out. We didn't really get into no type of rhythm with the offense, Denise. I wasn't understanding, some of the play calls, but I get it that Cliff was trying to find his little niche and trying to get into some type of groove. But my thing that I had was saying with this fast Detroit Lions defense that you were going to need to be able to get quick passes and get some type of rhythm for Marcus Mariota and the running backs that we had. So, as I stated, that the Commanders went out 3 and out on their first drive.
Surprise,
right? So here we go. Now the Detroit Lions, they get the ball, and of course, what they do, Denise, they march up and down. They march all and up down the field like the Saints come running. You know what I mean? Here come the Detroit Lions roaring down the field the whole time, Denise. And once again, we saw a lack of speed from our defense. We couldn't get any pass rush. We couldn't get any with the running backs. We wouldn't get them on the ground. Of course, there's still a lot of arm tackling, and it showed. And within that, in the first drive, Jared Goff threw a TD pass to Jahmyr Gibbs. It was 8 minutes and 26 seconds left, and that happened in the first quarter, which made it 7-0, the Detroit Lions. Our second drive, the Washington Commanders still couldn't get in it. This is probably one of their best drives that they had, Denise, in the first quarter. Sustained a little bit, but we still couldn't make out of no points. The only thing that we were able to get was a 44-yard field goal from your boy, Matt Gay. Did you send him a message this week, Denise?
Hey, look, he knows he can't miss any more of our consolation prizes.
Yes.
So Mr. Matt Gay has his back together and his foot on straight. So he's kicking field goals and extra points very well these days. Thank you, Mr. Matt Gay.
Yeah, Mr. Matt Gay made it 7-3, the Detroit Lions.
So we're still in the game.
We're still in the game in the first quarter, and that's probably the last that we're going to be in the game. So the next drive, we had the Detroit Lions, which was their second offensive drive, Denise. And their second offensive drive, it looked like the first one. The Lions was roaring up and down the field. So then we had where Jared Goff threw a touchdown pass to Ahmad St. Brown. That man right there, he is a problem, Denise. He is a problem.
Ahmad St.
Brown. So that made the score 14-3 with 1 minute and 54 seconds left in the first quarter. So the Detroit Lions was up 14-3. Here we go once again, another week. We're playing catch up. Yes. And this offense is not built to come from behind. This offense is built as a front runner. And for those that don't know what a front runner is, a front runner offense is you're ahead and you stay ahead and you cannot get behind. This offense cannot get behind. We don't have enough creativity Now, one good thing I did see in this game, Denise, I'm not sure if that you picked it up for yourself. Cliff Kingsbury did attack the vertical. He was going vertical in this game. So he was trying to attack down the field because I guess he finally woke up and seen that, hey, if we don't stretch the ball down the field, teams are going to continue to keep playing as 8 and 7-man boxes. Yeah. So Marcus Mariota was able to stretch the field a little bit, well, attempted to, and he made a good pass. Now we're going into the second quarter. Okay, second quarter. First drive, of course, the Commanders went 3-0 once again. Now, this has become a routine, and it's not even funny, but it's become a routine that it seems like we have the same old story each week. We are 3-0, and other teams are putting up points. So I don't know, Denise. Maybe something hopefully in Madrid we can catch a bottle of lightning or something of that magnitude. I don't know what Cliff is going to do. But Cliff, we need you on your best behavior out in Madrid. Okay. Yeah. So I want you to get creative. We have nothing to lose. We're 3-7 now. And now it's just now about pulling out whatever you got. I want to see some of the young guys step up, which Jalen Lane did make a deep catch this week. You had Jalen Burks as well, and of course Robbie Chosen. But that's before I go into that, we're gonna stay in the second quarter, as I mentioned to you on the second drive. Jahmyr Gibbs had a touchdown run, which with 9 minutes and 41 seconds, and they went for a 2-point conversion. And guess what?
What happened?
Detroit got it. This defense can't stop nothing. 2-point conversion, 1 point, 3 point, whatever. They can't stop nothing. So Joe Witt, thank you again. Thank you for the early Christmas presents that you've been giving to us Commanders fans. Thank you very much.
We have a Christmas present. We're going to give Mr. Joe Witt Jr. We got one for him.
Yes, we are. So do you want to speak a little bit about that, Denise, before I go into this last? Well, let me go into this. The last really good play of the before the half. Jake Bates, he kicked the field goal for the Lions that made it 25-10 with 11 seconds left in the halftime.
Well, let me say this, because our Commanders did do something in the second quarter.
Who did it, Denise? Who did it, Denise?
Rodriguez.
Yes.
C-Rod. Okay.
Yes.
And to me, C-Rod is clearly our most powerful runner. Okay, we have some good running backs, we do, but when you talk about strength, when you talk about yards after the catch or yards after contact, he keeps going. Chris Rodriguez keeps going. He gives us some yaks. Okay, so once he gets the ball, because it's usually handed off to him.
Mm-hmm.
Once there is contact made, they try to tackle him. It takes usually 2 to 3 players to take C-Rod down.
Okay? And Jeremy McNichols. So Jeremy McNichols is a good in-between the tackle runner as well.
Yes, but C-Rod has been the most consistent.
Absolutely.
Okay, and he has powered forward and given us first downs that we might not have had otherwise.
Right.
So I'm really impressed with the power with which Chris Rodriguez runs. But he did run it in for a touchdown in the second quarter.
Yes.
So that gave us 10 points because our boy Matt Gay had already given us 3 off of his foot.
Yes.
And so Chris Rodriguez gave us 6 points. But here is where I have to ring another bell for Matt Gay. He gets 2 rings because Matt Gay had to kick the extra point twice.
Right.
He kicked the extra point. He made it. He was successful. And then there was a delay of game call. See,
how do you get a delay of game on a extra point, Denise?
Those black and white stripes can be treacherous. Let me tell you, this is why I say all the time, do not rely on the refs to be good, fair, kind, just to the burgundy and gold, because when it comes to us, they get a little suspicious. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not accusing them directly of wrongdoing. Okay. I don't want to say that. I won't go that far. However, we have gotten some dubious or questionable calls. And this delay of game when we're kicking the extra point.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, Matt Gay, Mr. Corrected Back and Steady Foot now, he came in and he kicked the second extra point. So he made it, and I'm happy that he made that because I would have been super, super upset had he missed it after successfully kicking the extra point the first time.
Right.
So, Mr. Matt Gay, thank you so much for your consistency. So that made the score Detroit Lions 22, Washington Commanders 10. And
Yes. And
that's,
let me
yeah,
piggyback off of that what you said with Chris Rodriguez. That
yes.
was one of the longest sustained drives that we had all game. That
Oh, that was
actually,
it?
yeah,
Okay,
that
one
was
of
a
the
10.
longest.
Yes, that was a
Okay.
10 play, 75-yard, which we ran off 5 minutes and 2 seconds off the clock. So that was a pretty good drive. Like I said, we had opportunities. It showed early in the game that, we kept it close. But
Yes.
of course, the offense to me, Denise. Now, some of you Commanders fans may beg to differ, but I believe the offense played well enough, but we got nothing from that defense. The defense, which gave up 550 yards
You
total.
can't win like that,
You
period.
cannot win. Joe
Cannot.
Witt, that's why, Denise, I need a bell right here, please. I need a bell. This is why today DQ has made it official that he is now calling the defensive plays for the Washington Commanders for the foreseeable future. What it entails, any victories, or will we see anything, different? I don't know. But something had to happen, and I understand that, Joe Witt, somebody had to be the sacrificial lamb. Um, I do believe
He,
in I do believe in my personal opinion. I
yes.
could be wrong. I believe after the Madrid trip, I do believe that they're going to relinquish Joe Witt from the team, officially. I don't
Well,
think he's going to have nothing to do with the team after their bye week.
let me talk to you about that for a second.
Yes,
Okay. In his presser, head
yes,
coach Dan Quinn said that he would be taking over the play calling for the defense.
mm-hmm.
He did not say, because this was my question, has Joe Witt been fired? He did not say that.
Nope, he wasn't.
And then when he was questioned about Joe Witt's new role and what it would be, if anything, oh, he will still be with the team. He's still going with us to Spain. He's still working with the defense. It's just that I will be doing the play calling. Okay, well, excuse me.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, Dan Quinn. If you knew, Dan Quinn, if you knew better, if you knew how to call better plays,
Mm-hmm.
if you saw that Joe Witt Jr. wasn't making the best calls, he wasn't doing the best play calling for
Mm-hmm.
this team, if you knew that his play calling was insufficient and you could see that clearly, why would it take 10 weeks
10 weeks, and it
and
shouldn't have.
7 losses in
Yes.
order for you to step forward and say, I'm going to take over the play calling? Because if I recall correctly, Dan Quinn was at every game.
Every meeting,
And he was
every practice.
on the sideline for every single game. And
Mm-hmm.
if he saw play calling on the defense that was ineffective, that he knew how to correct, where he would think, okay, I wouldn't have called that play. I would have called a different play. I would have called it. Why, as the head coach, would he not say something? Because we know he saw something. But when
Right.
you see something, you're supposed to say something, and then you wind up doing something in order to yield the desired results. So
Yes.
when Dan Quinn said he's taking over the play calling, it gave me a flashback, and I believe it was Jay Gruden who said he was going to take over the offensive play calling when we were having problems on offense. And he didn't do any better because he didn't know any better. So I'm questioning, why wouldn't he have had this conversation with Joe Witt weeks prior?
Right.
Because we've gone too far in the season. We have 17 games in a season. We've played 10. We've lost 7. And
Yes.
now he's decided he's going to take over play calling on defense. You saw your guys on defense running into each other.
Not just 1 week, several weeks.
This is at least the second week where we know for sure and for certain we've got players running into each other on defense while our opponent successfully runs down the field unimpeded. Okay.
Yes.
But now Dan Quinn is going to take over the play calling for defense. In prior weeks, I disagreed with you. I felt that Cliff Kingsbury was just as ineffective and inefficient and incompetent as Joe Witt. I apologize, Cliff Kingsbury.
I was about to ask you that.
You heard that soft bell? That was a soft bell. That wasn't a loud bell. That was a soft bell. I have to apologize to Mr. Cliff Kingsbury because it has been shown, it has been revealed, it has been exposed that the defense is indeed the single biggest culprit on this team because, as you so kindly pointed out, week after week, most weeks, this team has scored 20 plus points. That is enough to win games in the NFL. But your team scoring 20 plus points is no good when your defense is giving up even more points than that. So when your defense gives up 20 plus points.
And 4 straight weeks, we've lost by 21 points or more.
Yes.
Defense is atrocious.
Yes. Out of our
can't win like that. You can't win like that.
5-game losing streak, 4 of those games were us getting beaten by at least 20 points, 20 plus points. So yes, I have to concede. The evidence is in.
The proof is in the pudding.
Out.
The proof is in the pudding. 550 total yards.
Yes.
And not only that, not only just the 500, it's the way we keep giving up big explosive plays, Denise. It's, I'm gonna go to what you and I was talking about earlier today. Marcus Mariota made a comment and said, "We're not who we think we are." And that kind of, made me scratch my head. And, you can interpret that many different ways. But what D Nice thinks, I think that what he's saying that some of these guys were on a hype train from last year. Some of these guys and coaches, not just the players, some of these coaches are thinking they're better than what we are. And our record shows you have the 28th ranked defense of giving up points. That is ridiculous. We've already lost more games this year than we lost in total last year. Now, as I said before, and I said in other weeks, I'm happy about last year's success that we had, but I believe it was a gift and a curse because it masked a lot of the deficiencies we have on this roster. We do have some talent, but we don't have enough talent. This bottom roster is bad, Denise. It is really bad. We don't have enough team speed. I mean, we are seeing the young guys like Jordan McGee when he comes in. Madrano, KO knocked himself out on the special teams, But we are seeing some and Revo. Revo is playing with a lot of intensity. Some of my old vets that I don't know. Did they come in believing that, last year was going to translate to this year? No, but it shows. And, Denise, I don't know if making a change to Joe Witt this week, from that calling plays, if that's really going to make a difference. I really think that it is a combination of some coaching issues and there is personnel issues. I mean, some people are giving a lot of flack at AP, Adam Peters, that is. with his draft choices that he made and some of his free agent moves. So, our season is over. And I hate to say that because, and I'm never, as I always say, we're not going to talk about tanking because that's loser man's mentality.
Right.
But this team is bad, Denise. This team is
Well, I
awful.
mean, there's a lot of blame to go around for that.
It is
Like
awful.
you said, it's the lack of talent on part of a lot of players.
Yes.
It is the incompetence of the coaches,
Mm-hmm.
and I include Dan Quinn in that number.
Of course, he's the head coach. You have to, of
Exactly.
course.
So it gets back to him, and also we cannot leave out all of the injuries, which,
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, okay. When you talk about changes in personnel, you have got to look at this strength and conditioning team. If nobody else
Okay.
says it, Denise is going to say it every
So would you say is it a strength and conditioning team or is it the medical team? Because those are two different.
The medical team only hits after an injury.
Yeah, but a lot of these
The
guys
strength
are
and conditioning
they're
team
hitting with
keeps
injuries, but
strong.
these guys are going and then they're coming back. They're going and coming back. So somewhere the medical staff has to take some accountability in some of this as well.
I'm not exempting them, but
Mm-hmm.
your strength and conditioning team gets your team in shape. If you keep getting injured, okay, not getting injured, but continue to keep getting injured, that means you're not in good shape. So, and we know they're not strong
Lack
because
of stretching because there's a lot of hammy
the medical team
issues.
doesn't stretch them out.
Right, but that's where the players now, as players, and I agree with you, Denise. And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but as players, you got to do what you got to do as far as taking care of your body. If that's getting you massages, getting masseuses, getting whatever you need to take care of your body, you're already as a athlete, you're lifting a lot of, you have a lot of muscle mass. So a lot of guys don't stretch. I see some guys go out there and they just run. You have to stretch. Because
okay, now here's my question. Okay, because I get your point.
Mm-hmm.
Your strength and conditioning team would highlight that. Your coaches would incorporate that into their practice. So the medical team only sees you after you get injured. The fact that you keep getting injured, strength, you don't have it. Conditioning, you don't do it. Okay? Because even to the strength point, you pointed out yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You watched our O-line get pushed back. Why do they get pushed back? Because they're not strong.
They eat their Wheaties. They need to eat their Wheaties.
So
Yes.
we're not strong. We're not in good condition. And we need this medical team to keep trying to take all the king's horses and all the king's men to put Humpty Dumpty back together again.
That is true.
But to your point, nobody is exempt. Okay.
Nobody.
We got to look at this strength and conditioning team. And I would also look at the medical team for the recurring injuries. Okay.
Yeah, I think you got to look at everything from its totality now.
Yes.
I think we're at that. I think we're at that point.
Conditioning team, I don't hear anybody yelling about them but me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep on saying the strength and conditioning team needs to really be looked at very closely.
They need to be reevaluated as well. Yes, I agree.
But it's a whole bunch of things. It's a whole bunch of reasons why this Commanders team that was so dynamic, so efficient, and performed so beautifully and exceeded expectations last season are not even meeting minimum expectations this season.
Right.
And for anyone, a player, a coach, for anyone wearing the burgundy and gold officially who collect a paycheck endorsed by the National Football League, to think that they are good players and they're better than their record and last year somehow has a bearing on this year, that is crazy. That is absolutely crazy.
That is ludicrous.
So if you have any player who is thinking you're good and things are your record, 3 wins.
7 losses.
Yes, out of 10 opportunities, this team has had 3 wins. So I hear what you're saying, and I heard what Marcus Mariota said. I didn't understand it, and he of course didn't elaborate on it. But I'm
It's to
not.
leave your imagination free.
Well, I'm not believing that players on this team are thinking they're good.
I don't know.
But if they are, check the record
Yeah.
and,
So
read the room and take
you
the
gotta
temperature.
read the room. You gotta read it. But look, with all the all the stuff that's been happening with this team this year, I don't understand where did we go wrong as far as the discipline. This is the most undisciplined team I've seen in a long time.
Dan Quinn. I
Look at
talked about
let,
it last week.
look what Deron Payne. Okay, I get that Kinlaw said Ahmad St. Brown hit Deron Payne first.
You
But
know what?
the referees are always going to catch who they see last. And Deron Payne threw that vicious right hook,
If
and,
he,
and they got him ejected out the game.
if Deron Payne got hit first, why is there no videotape evidence of him
Well,
getting hit
well,
first?
Kinlaw says that the referees acknowledged it, but they didn't do anything about it. And like you said, I didn't see anything, but we did see still video of Deron Payne throwing that right hook on Ahmad
And
St.
let
Brown.
me say this about Kinlaw.
Mm-hmm.
Kinlaw became a non-credible witness
Mm-hmm.
when he unleashed on the referee, and
Yep.
he himself put himself in danger
Yeah, he
of
clapping his
getting
hands all in Jared
booted.
Goff's face. I'm like, dude, you're not even doing anything. What are you doing?
Right. Because, I mean, the referees are going to referee. And
Yes.
you know they're going to call what they see. And if you're burgundy and gold, you know they're going to see you doing wrong when they don't see anybody else doing wrong. So for Kinlaw to jump in a referee's face and put himself in line to be ejected was not good judgment. So I don't view him as a credible witness. I'm not saying he didn't see what he saw, but the way he handled it, no, I don't need to hear from him because he set a bad example. And Mr. Deron Payne, let me say this about him. He needs to decide which profession he wants to be in. Okay? Because
Yeah.
the NFL pays him to play football.
Yes.
Nobody pays him to fight.
To box.
Okay?
Yep. He's not a
He's
boxer.
not, no federation is paying him to fight, box, none of that. Okay. So we know years ago he got into it with Jonathan Allen.
Real bad on the sideline.
At a
Yes.
Dallas game where there were all these Cowboys he could have been fighting. And he chose to get all in Jonathan Allen's face and then stand up and take an offensive position like he was going to do something. Jonathan Allen handled that, and I'm glad he did. But I need Deron Payne, and everybody's saying, "Oh, he's frustrated." But when you're frustrated, what you do is you play better. And see, that Detroit Lion knew something about Deron Payne.
He got on his skin. He definitely got on his skin.
Payne does not have emotional control. And that is always a deficit. Now, that guy proved, hey, look, you know what? You might be able to be a better boxer, but guess what? I can beat you in football. And that's exactly what my team is doing. My team is tearing your team up. So all the punching, all the fighting, all the intimidation you want to do, guess what? Deron Payne, your best ability is your availability.
Right. And not to mention that Detroit want to get back anyway from last year in the divisional, the championship round, with the game before before we played the Eagles, how we went up to Detroit and we manhandled them. And see, last year Detroit was decimated by injuries, and here the favor was returned to us. So I knew they wasn't going to feel sorry for us. I knew they was going to stick it to us.
Well, nobody feels sorry for you.
Anyway. So what happened, I expected, but I'm always going to be optimistic with this team. But what I thought, what they like Dennis Green said, your record is who you are. Okay,
of course.
Our record is who we are, and at the end of the day, you do play football because it is any given Sunday. So, like we said, Denise, we had chances for our offense to keep us in the game, but when you have the Detroit Lions ladies and gentlemen, the Detroit Lions went down the field and scored every possession all the way up into the third quarter on every possession. That is unheard of. So if your defense can't get get their offense off, your offense is never going to have a chance to even, to be able to catch up with them. So we were playing catch up anyway because the defense couldn't stop a cold.
And what's the solution to that? Is it to punch somebody? I don't think so.
No,
so
it's not. It's
Ron
not.
Payne wasted his energy. He got ejected.
Yes,
and
he did.
Made this team play without him. Now, if he thinks this team is better without him than with him, then he's on the right track. Because getting ejected is letting your team down, because then we don't have whatever gifts and talents that Deron Payne brings to the field. We were without that. And then here's Kinlaw jumping in a ref's face. So, the fact that Dan Quinn himself did not punish the both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The fact that Joe Witt was down on the field as opposed to being up in the booth, and these guys are acting out like this. See, if I'm the defensive coordinator and you throw a punch, you don't have to worry about the refs ejecting you, because you're going to have your behind riding that bench.
Yeah.
Until you figure out
they walked Ron Payne. They walked him off immediately.
Well, and they should. But Joe Witt should have. See, he should have been scared of Joe Witt. He wasn't scared of Joe Witt. Okay, because when you're scared of your coach or your coordinator, a ref doesn't have to tell you anything about your conduct. Okay, and with Kinlaw adding to it, and nothing happened to Kinlaw, excuse me. So that lets me know that these players do not respect Joe Witt, who is now down on the field, who's now going back up into the booth because it didn't make a difference. And his players, instead of being strong defenders, now they want to be fighters. They want to be brawlers. So this is the ridiculousness,
undisciplined,
that we have had to deal with. And Deron Payne is now suspended, so he can't go to France and to Spain. Excuse me. He won't be going. He won't be going to France either.
No, he won't be going to neither one. He's
going to be in Spain.
Yes.
Okay. He won't be going to Spain. DQ said that he did file an appeal, but we know good well the NFL is not going to take away or reverse their ruling when
too many pictures out there were showing him. Too many pictures out there were showing him throwing that punch.
Yeah, when it's fighting involved, you're not getting that appeal. And the whole thing is, it could have been avoided. Emotional control, mental control, and this is what we're not seeing. And then we're losing on top of that. So Deron Payne is going to have some time to think about how to handle himself better and anger management.
I think he checked out. I think this is going to be one of those Jonathan Allen things. At the end of the year, they're going to get Deron Payne reps to seek a request a trade, because he has no guarantees on his contract next year. I think mentally he's checked out. I think all the frustration of everything that's been happening on this defense, they say in the locker room is let lost, but even though there is a brotherhood, some people still kind of mumbling under their breath. And I just think mentally Deron Payne is checked out. I do.
Well, you know what? As long as he's getting a paycheck, check in. Okay. Yeah. Now, if you want to check out, you can be out. But as long as you're getting a paycheck, check in.
Check
in. This is a thing for Joe Witt and DQ, Dan Quinn, to handle. So you got to manage your personnel, especially if you can't develop new players.
Absolutely.
Handle the ones you have and keep them in check. But let's get back to the game, because I am on my soapbox on this. So you mentioned that the Detroit Lions kicked the field goal.
Before we go, okay, because we already went into halftime. We got to talk about what we did see during the halftime part. I'm going to give you the floor on this one, Denise.
Okay, well, it was the salute to service game where the NFL shows its support to our military forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. So this was a special salute to service game, and President Trump showed up for this special game. And during the halftime, President Trump did swear in the new enrollees. There was a group of people who enrolled in the various branches of our military. So President Trump swore them in, the new people who will be in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard. So
Right.
that was a very, very nice thing. And during the third quarter, President Trump did go into the commentators booth, and he did speak with both of the commentators.
Yep, Jonathan Vilma. Yep, sure did.
He called one play,
Yeah.
and he did commend.
If you call it that.
Yes, he called a play, and he commended the Commanders. He said,
Yep, Josh Harris.
are a good team. He
Mhm.
did believe in them. He congratulated them on their achievements last season, and he did express his excitement over the team returning to the RFK site for
Yes.
their new stadium. And he said he intends for that to, well, he didn't intend, he expects for it to be
Right. He's
a
going to get
wonderful-
everything approved that needs to be approved.
Yeah, and he expects it to be a great new stadium.
Yes.
So that was very nice, and we do support our military. Thank you for your valiant service in defending and protecting our great nation. So thank you very much, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, and Coast Guard.
Yes.
Okay,
Salute.
so that takes care of
Salute
the
to
half
all of
where,
you.
yes, and then look, we were according to the numbers, and we got to go by the numbers, regardless of who people think they are.
Yes.
At halftime, Detroit stood at 25, and the Commanders stood at 10. So we were at 25 to 10.
Yes.
Now let's see. In the third quarter, here we go. Number 0 on Detroit Lions, Jamar Gibbs.
Mhm.
Number 0.
Mhm. Yep, Jameer Gibbs. Yep, Jameer Gibbs.
Let me say this about Jamar Gibbs. Okay, his jersey number is 0.
Mhm.
And in this game, that was a very fitting number because he had 0 problems running down the field and scoring on this team. And
Yeah,
that
no
was
problem. Zero
his
problems.
story. 0. 0 jersey number, 0 problems running down the field, scoring against the Commanders. That was just ridiculous. But let's see. Goff through to Williams, Jameson Williams.
Jameson Williams, TD pass. Yeah.
He was another one. And
Too much speed.
Yes.
Too much speed. They had speed all over the place. And like you said, Denise, he threw it, Jared Goff threw it to Jameson Williams, a touchdown pass with 12 minutes and 6 seconds left in the third quarter, which then made it 32 to 10. Wow.
32 to 10. Yes, exactly. And but our Mariota threw a touchdown pass to Debo.
Debo
caught that pass in the end zone, so that was wonderful. But we did go for a 2-point conversion, and we failed on that. But
Of
that's
course.
Okay because
everything we do, we fail at. Everything we do, we fail at. Everything we do, we fail at.
But let me try to give you a bright side of it, okay?
Okay.
This is where Mr. Cliff Kingsbury showed some aggression.
Yes, he did.
Instead of him saying, okay, go ahead and kick the extra point, he said, no, if you get into the end zone, keep it going. Try to get back into the end zone again. And let's try to sustain momentum.
Right. He tried to sustain momentum.
Yes. So that made the score Detroit 32, Washington 16. But I do appreciate the effort.
Yes.
And then let's see. Detroit got to kick another field goal.
Yep, a 29-yard field goal from Jake Bates.
Bates kicked another field goal. So that made the score Detroit 35, Washington 16.
Denise, do you see how a trend right here? See how the points just keep going up and up? I mean, it seemed like every 30 seconds we're saying a new score for Detroit. You know, Denise, I'm going to tell you this. And as a season ticket fan, I didn't even go to this game. Denise, this game was so hard to watch. This was hard to watch. This was
Yeah.
a hard game to watch.
Yeah.
I never thought in a million years that, I don't want to sound repetitive, but it feels like the Dan Snyder era. It's just
Oh,
not.
come on now. Wait a minute now.
No,
I'm not going to
no,
let you do
no,
that.
no. I'm gonna say this because it was so much blue sea of blue in that stadium, and all you heard was Detroit. It was so many Detroit Lions. It felt like Dan Snyder era. I'm sorry. I'm gonna call it like it is, Denise. If you
Well,
look at, and even when they hovered around the stadium and showed that stadium, you saw nothing but Detroit Lions fans in it. And it felt like the Dan Snyder era. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
but Detroit is now, let me, I would say that surprises me, but Detroit has come a long way.
So
Okay,
have
they
we.
used to be a terrible team. They used to lose all the time. And now they're a good team. And now
Great.
they're a winning team. And they win pretty consistently. I
Yep.
didn't hear you say so are we.
No, no, we not.
Oh, okay. So now it's quiet. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
No, we not. We only have one winning season. They've put together 3 consecutive winning seasons. So that is a recipe for success right there.
And their fans have been pretty loyal throughout. And so now they really do have something to celebrate. Now the Detroit Lions fans do have something to support. So I can see them showing up and showing out because they've had so many years of misery, so have we. And
kind of remind us like we brothers in blood, right?
Except for these Lions ran through us like they won the Serengeti.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hey, the king of the jungle, the apex predator, did their number on us. So, and I don't want to invoke the previous owner's name because, that just carries such a huge, heavy cloud with it. And
it still seems like it's here. It don't seem like it's gone yet. It still seems like it's here.
He's gone. You can't blame him for anything. Nothing at all. You can't blame him for anything. No, you can't.
I had to make light of the situation, but you're right.
But we do feel that though.
Yeah. It's just a PSTD we have as fans.
I didn't say you were lying.
Yeah.
I didn't say you were wrong.
Uh-huh.
I'm just saying, don't say it.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
But yes, it's true. We are having post-traumatic stress disorder over this whole situation that we find ourselves in, because after having such a wonderful season last year, Jaden Daniels,
and then how it ended so, even though we lost to the Philadelphia Eagles, it was just, we were just so close to the Super Bowl, so it just made that it just magnified that by like 5, you know what I mean?
It was nice. It was great.
Nice. It was a great feeling.
Jaden's rookie year. So he really showed up and showed out. He proved himself on so many different fronts, as a young upcoming quarterback in this professional league. So we're super proud of him. But this year it has been a whole different story for us. Not a story with which we are unfamiliar, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. But we still keep hope alive, and we just we want to get through this because we do support our team, and we will continue to cheer for them. And they really do need our support now more than ever because they are struggling.
Yes.
But Dan Quinn taking over play calling on defense. Let me just say about that real quick. I think the team will probably respond very well for this one game because it's kind of like that new car smell. You get high on that.
I can buy that.
It's new, and then that smell fades.
Got a little bit of fresh Armor oil on the tires, put some McGuire's, got it shined up real good. I get it.
It's all new. So when it's all new, it's all good.
Right.
But the sustainability is what we're going to need to see. And then too, some players may be thinking, to your point about Mariota, possibly alluding to some of these players perhaps thinking they're better than what they are. I think with Joe Whitt being relieved of his play calling duties and him being relegated back up to the booth,
Mm-hmm.
I think some of these players may realize, you know what? If that can happen to Joe Witt Jr., the defensive coordinator, something can probably happen to me where I'm not as secure as I thought maybe I was.
Right.
So
Right.
maybe that could be it, but we will see the impact of the play calling from Dan Quinn on defense and its sustainability. These are all things that remain to be seen, but we remain hopeful. We
Yeah.
remain
Well,
hopeful.
it's going to be very impacted this week, in Madrid anyway, because you're down one of your star corners in Trey Amos, who is he
Yes.
fractured his fibula. So,
Yes.
we once again the injury snake, bug, whatever you want to call it, has bitten us again. And when I saw him walk off, when they were carrying not carrying him off, but assisting him off, I knew he was walking too gingerly. So I knew that wasn't a good look. Now, what I did see is that Igmanabi, they moved him inside and they moved Mikey Sanderson outside along with Jonathan Jones. It's still communication issues. Now, and I understand that, and it's not, somewhat it is of talent, but then some of it, as we keep saying, it's moving parts. So no two players are ever going to play the same, but it's supposed to be next man up mentality. I just cannot fathom and understand why there's such a drastic drop of play when you have the next man comes in. It's just like it looks like a JV squad out there, So
Yeah.
I don't know, Denise. I don't know. I don't know where the recipe went wrong this year.
Was there a recipe?
I thought it was.
Was there one?
I thought Grandma was cooking in the kitchen, but evidently she wasn't cooking the right ingredients with this one. So I don't know.
I have to question the practices, though. I have to question the practices. I told you I read that Tom Coughlin book. Okay.
Yeah.
And he ran very regimented practices, and I just have to question how Dan Quinn and his coaching staff are running these practices, because one of the players, and I forget which one it was, but one of the players said after this Detroit Lions loss, he said, we were prepared. We came in and we were prepared.
I've been hearing that all week. Great practices, we prepared, but
that is a misperception. That is a misperception, because preparation does not play the way the Commanders played. Okay, preparation yields you better results. It won't always yield you a win,
right?
But like you always said, D Nice, you expect this team to compete,
effort,
to be competitive.
Yes,
and this team was not competitive. So what were they prepared for? What were they prepared to do? Because you're saying, and this is week 10, communication is still a problem.
That's a big issue.
Up, these guys come on the field like they don't know what to do, So how is that being prepared? How does that preparation manifest itself? So we see that there's some perception problems here, because this team, as I will definitely say, this team was not prepared. This team was not prepared to play the Detroit Lions competitively, because they didn't.
The team has a different attitude. It's nothing like last year. Last year, when you used to hear DQ say anybody, anywhere, anytime, you really felt that and believed it. This year, I don't believe none of that.
He said he was asked about that, and Coach Quinn gave a whole bunch of word salad. Well, that still stands, and it still governs, what we do. And wait a minute, we haven't heard you say it.
We haven't heard you say it all year. You said it a lot last year.
You noted that. You noted that early on in the season. You said, you said, but he doesn't say it. So if you don't say it, why would you try to tell the press that you still believe it?
Yeah.
See that word salad doesn't make sense. You look at what's being done, and you hear what's being said, and the two don't line up. That's
like what Joe Witt said at the beginning. You see endless little tidbits of him saying, our style of defense is not for everyone. Everyone is not going to like our style. Well, dude, I don't like the style that you've been calling for this defense for the last year and a half. So what style is it, Joe Witt?
Well, let me tell you this. Our style of defense is not for everybody, but it's certainly for most of our opponents. Okay.
Absolutely.
It's for 7 out of 10 of our opponents. They love our defensive style. It works very well for our opponents. So I guess he told the truth. It just wasn't going in the direction that we would like. But getting back to the game in the fourth quarter, Jahmyr Gibbs ran.
Well, that was at the end of the third quarter.
For a touchdown.
Yeah, he scored a touchdown at the end of the third. It was a 43-yard touchdown run with 12 minutes and 50 seconds left.
But the extra point was blocked.
Right. What? Look, that's one of the ones you say, what?
It was blocked.
I was surprised to see our special teams make a block, but I'll take that. That was another bright point. I'll take that. So
that was a good point that they prevented from going to Detroit. So Detroit was up 41 to Washington 16. Yep. And let's see, Detroit also got on the scoreboard again because, they just can't leave well enough alone. But before that, Ben Sinnott ran it in for a touchdown.
So for the touchdown pass. Nice. Yeah, from Mariota.
Yep. And
I believe that was his first touchdown of the year, or maybe second. I need to look that up, but I'm glad to see that him being a draftee from last year, that he actually made a play. That's what we need more of. We need more of the young guys stepping up. Unfortunately, Luke McCaffrey is out for the season with the broken collarbone, but I did get to see, like I said earlier, that Jaden Lane did make a nice deep catch. So when you see that your young guys are making some promising plays, that gives us fans a little bit of hope, a little bit of something to cling on to and say, you know what, maybe we may have something there. So yeah, Denise, it is what it is. But after that, we tried another two-point conversion,
and that was unsuccessful. But again, still aggressive.
Were you surprised?
Still trying something different. I wasn't surprised that we didn't get it, but we were super, super close. Okay, because Kromsky Merritt was right there, and the Detroit Lions pushed him back. So the Detroit Lions had the situational awareness. Okay, instead of just falling on him, which would have given us that 2-point conversion, they knew to surround him and push him back.
Yeah, that linebacker met him in the hole, Denise, number 54. He came up, Campbell came up in the middle, and he said,
So we are now Detroit 41, Washington 22. Yeah. 22. So yes, 22. But the Detroit Lions had to have the last word. They had to have the last say.
Of course.
They got into that consolation. Well, for them, it wasn't consolation. For them, it was the icing on the cake. They got a 48-yard field goal, courtesy of Bates.
Yep, Bates. Yep.
That 48-yard field goal gave them 3 extra points. So the Detroit Lions had 44 points to Washington's 22 points. And that wound up being the final score. Detroit Lions 44, Washington Commanders 22. So that was the 5th game in the losing streak.
Yes.
For the Washington Commanders. And out of the 5 losses, 4 of these losses have been 20 points or better. So this is not the formula for success. And then we go next week to face off against the Dolphins in
and they're on a 2-game win streak. They're on a 2-game win streak.
Well, and the big thing is the Dolphins just beat the Buffalo Bills 30 to 13. Buffalo Bills. Now, Buffalo Bills, that's a good team. So
let me say this to you. Their running back, his name is A-Chain. He is Jahmyr Gibbs 2.0. Jahmyr Gibbs had 150 yards rushing on us this week. Matter of fact, as a note, Jahmyr Gibbs had 213 yards from scrimmage. That is pathetic. Besides that, the defense gave up 550 points. So it doesn't get no better this week when we go to Madrid, Spain. You have A-Chain, you have Waddle. Tua's playing pretty good in these last two games, and they're coming with a confidence. If you'd asked me this about a month ago, I would have said we'd have walked them through mud. Right. But now, and matter of fact, Vegas has us going into the game as underdogs against the daggone Miami Dolphins, who fired their GM, who is on his last leg, who's on the hot seat. Now, how is it that just like what the Atlanta Falcons did with Raheem Morris, how is these other teams making firings and making changes, and their teams are, the trajectory of their team has changed? Something of that quilt, whatever you want to say, needs to happen to us as well. Some type of spark needs to happen. And if DQ does not understand that, then he is very, very naive and doesn't have a pulse to what's going on out here in the locker room, to the fans. So DQ, I need you to get it together. I know it was a quick turnaround going to Madrid, Spain. You did not want to fire Joe Witt, but I think that's going to happen. As I said, Denise, during the bye week, something has to give, and I want to see this team come out in Madrid. I'm going to Spain. I don't know if we're going to win, Denise, but the main thing I want to see is be competitive. I want to see a competitive game with energy. If I can have at least that, of course, a W, I would love to have that. Yes. But if I can at least see a competitive game, that's all I can ask for. That's all as a Commander fan I can ask for, and you can ask for. Two of a Kind Sports can ask for. And Commanders out there, but this is getting hard to watch. I mean, some people are already saying they're not watching the games for the rest of the season.
Well, you know what? Those people will be watching the games for the rest of the season because they have to complain for the rest of the season. So when people say, I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to, you don't need to make an announcement. Just stop watching. We don't need to know all of that. But they're going to watch because they have to have something to complain about. And then they don't want to miss anything good. So if something good happens, they want to be on hand to see that. So again, our fans are fickle, they're finicky when you listen to what they say. But when you pay attention to what they do, they are spending their money, okay?
And they have the right to be fickle, and they have the right to be upset.
Yes. Exactly. That's why I don't pay any attention to that, because they have the right to feel whichever way they feel. They have a right to say what they say, because when you get to the bottom line, they spend their money. And this is what I was talking about last week. You thought I was talking about the teams' money. When I said they already spent their money, I was talking about the fans. The fans have bought season tickets. Okay. The fans travel well with the team. And you are an example. You're going to Europa. You're going to be in España. Okay. So you're going to be right there on hand in Madrid. And when our team plays in Europe, the burgundy and gold shows up strong. Okay. And when we have events, our Commanders events are heavily attended. Okay. Training camps, OTAs, all of it. Our events are heavily attended. So as much as the fans, complain and carry on, they really do support this team.
Of course. And that's why we're so passionate.
Right to get upset when the team doesn't perform, because the fans put a lot into it, and those tailgates are unrivaled.
Yes.
Okay, and that costs a lot of money to be out there early in the morning, to have all that food, and it is so delicious.
Yes, it is.
And have that spirit of camaraderie and togetherness, and have to have all the games and activities out there. These fans spend a lot of money on this team.
A lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of energy.
Exactly. So the dedication and the commitment are there. So they have every right to complain, and to say the things they say. And I don't get deterred by that. And I don't preach to the fans about how they should feel or what they should say. And I just tell everybody, we here at Two of a Kind Sports, we continue to cheer for this team, and we cheer for them more when they lose, because everybody's cheering for them when they win. So we continue to support this team, and we call out their faults, but we also commend them Even though I try to make stuff up sometimes, but I do commit.
Uh-huh.
I'll
Okay.
stretch it out. I'll stretch it out.
We are
But
true setters. We
yes,
as we always say, it's facts over feelings. So we're
right,
gonna always present facts,
yes,
regardless of our feelings or regardless how everyone else may feel out there. We're gonna always bring the truth to you. So we're gonna
that's
report that at all times. Two of a kind sports
yes.
always does that.
And I look for the silver lining. I try
Mm-hmm.
to find that. It's not manufactured.
Yes.
It is there. It's all in, the way you look at it, your perspective. The glass can be half empty or the glass can be half full. It's all in
Yes.
the way you look at it. So, with that, is there any more news that we need to cover? Because I think we've pretty much covered it. But what I tell you what, I really do want to wish everyone who is going to Spain safe travels. I want
Thank
you
you. I
guys
appreciate
to
it.
really, take in the flavor, the culture, the history of Spain. It is a beautiful country. It's got a very rich history. And I am happy that European countries are welcoming the NFL.
Yeah,
I'm
me
glad
too.
the NFL is taking on a global flavor because we do have fans all around the world who enjoy NFL football. We our football is their soccer. They
Yes.
call soccer football. So for them to welcome us into their countries and host us having our games, I think that is a wonderful thing, and it shows international fellowship, and I appreciate that. So I'm hoping that everyone who takes the trip across the ocean to enjoy the game will enjoy the game and enjoy the country and have a nice trip. Especially you, D Nice, because I need
Thank
you to
you.
report back to me on everything that you
Yes.
experience. I want to know all of your wonderful experiences
Yes.
as you go, and I'll be here, waiting for all the good news.
I'll
And I
take plenty
hope
of
our
pictures.
team, yes, lots of pictures, and I hope our team does win
Me
because
too. Me
our
too.
team is
Hmm.
certainly capable of beating the Miami Dolphins. It's just that the Dolphins are on a high right now because they are on a winning streak and they did just beat the Buffalo Bills, whereas our team is on a current losing streak. But there's no better way and
Hmm.
no better place and no better time to snap this losing streak than to go to Europe to play in Spain to beat the
Absolutely.
Dolphins and come back home and enjoy what is that? Yes, the bye week.
That bye week.
So
Yep. Yep.
that would be a lovely thing, and I wish that for our team. I know they're capable of doing it, so I'm not reaching and grasping. We are capable of beating the Miami Dolphins, so I hope that is what happens in Spain.
Yep. Well said, Denise. Well said. What else? Do you have any closing comments before we get out of here of this wonderful episode of Two of a Kind Sports? Always presenting facts, always presenting truth, and always going to ride or die for our Washington Commanders. Win, lose, or draw, Two of a Kind Sports always going to give you the daily news. We're going to give you what it is. We're going to give you factual news. So I don't have anything else to say, Denise. But do you want to say anything before you get out? Before we get out of here, before I make my last little comment?
Yes, yes. I was given some advice and I was given a request.
Okay.
And the request was to say at the end of the show, since Denise, since you have such a lovely saying,
Okay.
it was requested that I say, keep love alive 365. Know
Oh,
who you
I
are.
like
And
that.
look, I granted your request. That is for a limited time only. Keep love alive 365. So if you make a request, it might be granted, just as I did that one. So I am saying in closing, keep love alive 365.
And with that, I'm going to piggyback off of that. I'm going to say, everybody, Commanders fans, this is the time. I need everybody to love someone and hug someone. Thank you for another episode of Two of a Kind Sports. We're going to see you in Madrid, Spain. Hopefully, we come back with a W, Denise. Other than that, stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. We love you.
And that's all we have for this week 10 recap of the Washington Commanders hosting the Detroit Lions for their special Salute to Service game. We truly appreciate all of you for tuning in and supporting our channel here at Two of a Kind. So please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hit that bell so you never miss when we drop new videos. Until next time.
Love someone, hug someone.
Oh, and keep love alive 365.
That's right. That's right.
Bye-bye, folks.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you next week.